All right. Hello and good morning, good afternoon, or good whatever. So today we're going to talk about the judge. And this is a new version because we're jumping into judge and sage perspective at the same time, which I think is pretty brilliant. Honestly, usually, in the former program, we used to wait until like week 4 before we started talking about it. But Shirzad is teaching us how to use the sage perspective in the judge of circumstances, which makes so much sense once you think about it. And again, as we did in the original program, we're going to talk about metacognition. So it's the ability of your brain to look at your brain. It's ability of your thinking to look at your thoughts. It's ability of your mind to consciously go, "Oh, wow, I was totally whatever, hijacked, judging myself, etc." And that whole piece of metacognition, also known as the observer effect in many systems, can help you take yourself out of judgment. Even for those of us who have been doing sage work for a long time, when we jump into the judge, we absolutely believe we're right for a second or for 10 minutes or for however long we want to be committed to it. The difference is knowing that that's not us, knowing that that judge is not it's not who we are. We just think we're right. We just think we know everything. We just think we're in charge. We just think we did it wrong. Whatever that is, it's not actually us. So when this week we're in the pause, I'll show you this slide. Those of you on the cell phone, it might be harder to see, but initially we learned about habit formation. This is hard to see. Can you guys see it? I make it bigger.
Yes.
So
Now,
we are in the pause and choose part. So in this week, you're going to be looking at the event, which is a judge. You're going to be checking out for your judge, judge of self, judge of others, judge of circumstance. And instead of going down that, that's bad, they're bad, I'm bad, all the bads, we're going to focus on that catching your judge, which is completely different. And we're going to celebrate it, which we will talk about in a few minutes. Did you like that seating? We'll talk about celebration in a few minutes. All right. Rick, do you want to do the
coming up.
get PQs?
Yes. Okay, let's do some tactile PQs. Let's start with feeling the face. Feel your face with your fingers and feel your fingers with your face. And notice if you can feel both at the same time, or if you can feel your right hand on your face and feel your face with your left hand.
Whoa.
See if you need to toggle back and forth, or can you feel both at the same time?
Mm.
So many nerve endings on our fingers and on our face. You're ready, bring your hands together and feel your hand, feeling your hand, the fingertips of one hand. And feel your thumb feeling your fingertip and just feel the ridges of your fingerprint. hand on your belly and just feel the rise and fall of your chest and your belly with each breath. Okay. The sage brain is online. Welcome.
Yay.
Yay.
Mm. Okay, so let's talk about what this week is going to look like. If you've had a chance to watch the videos, you realize you can do a visualization or a contemplation. We'll talk about that. But again, the three circumstances of the judge are important to go over again. The focus is also on embodiment. What does that mean? Instead of just notating, oh, look, I might be in judgment. Oh, interesting. Where do I feel that judge? Where in my body do I feel when I'm judging others? For me, I feel like I'm closing myself off, like there's a lack of connection, and it brings up kind of a like an anger feeling, right? Like, how do you not understand me? Or I just feel really constricted. When it's my judge of self, I always feel it in my stomach. Like I'm socking, I'm hitting myself in my stomach. Stop hitting yourself. Why do you keep hitting yourself? But I'm doing it in my stomach. And then when I am looking at a judgment of circumstances, I have this feeling in my body almost of the easiest way to describe it, I think, is like a hopelessness. When I judge a circumstance, the feeling that I notice most is like disappointment and hopeless. And which would totally absolutely trigger the victim saboteur for me, right? If something's hopeless, it's like, oh, it's stuck. I can't fix it. I don't have any power here. And so that's when I notice that I got to get into action. And again, this week you're going to be noticing those different areas of the judgment that you have. And with that in mind, catch how it talks to you. My judge is almost always flavored with like things I didn't do. Because I have hyperachiever saboteur, I get gold stars for doing, for completing. And when I screw up, I get, I don't know, negative stars. I get what crap stars. I don't know. I get poop emojis, right? So my judge will help me live my life based on that. Efficient, effective, not efficient, not effective, lazy, or getting stuff done. Like those are the kinds of the modes that I tend to watch my judge the most because it's spiced and flavored by our particular saboteurs. Rick, what do you notice about this week, and what do you notice about your
Well,
judge when we did this?
this morning, the app, I'm past this point in the app, but today the app was on finding the judge again. So it went back to that, which was just perfect because this is what we're doing. And it asked me to remember interactions with people that I have frequently that irritate me. What is, that because that's the judge coming in, judge of others, showing up in my life in a very routine way. Like every time, what is it that your partner does? What is it that your coworkers do? What is it that constantly creates that irritation? I struggled with that because I feel like I don't judge Mike, except for when he's judging me. And I realized that's my irritation. I get irritated with someone being irritated with me,
By you.
right? So, oh, I found it. Yay. So celebrated that, did some PQs on it, and excitedly waiting for that to happen. I know sometime in the next month or so, there'll be a situation where he's irritated with me. And I'll remember to do the PQs and go back into that. And that's that idea. I love that he has taken from the Grow program and weaved into the program now the whole accept or convert. I if that was in the original, I never heard it in the original. I only got it in the Grow program. So that is this idea that when the judge shows up, it's an opportunity to lean in and accept whatever the circumstance is,
Mm.
or convert it into a gift, looking at, the sage perspective, the three gifts. What am I learning from this? How am I growing from this? How can I use this as inspiration, or as Theresa and I had, what's possible? What are the possibilities that this just created? And I love how it breaks those into steps, and we get points. So you get a point for catching your judge. You get a point for celebrating catching your judge. You get a point for then doing a PQ to get out of judgment, and give yourself another point if you can move into sage, because we all know some sage actions that we can take once we're in there, because we've done the program before. So that's one of the neat things about this, is that you already know that you can dive into explore and just become curious about it, that you can apply the sage perspective, that you can have empathy. So it's kind of fun to watch all this again from that more advanced state.
I have to say something funny. So yesterday, somebody was mad at me. First, I'm on somebody about their health. I'm like, you should get that checked out. Like, when are you going to get that checked out? And I realized, and they said, you need to stop. Like, you bring it up all the, and my judge was like, well, you need to get things fixed. Like, I am right. I am absolutely right. And I had to PQ over and over on that feeling of being wrong by someone else who didn't like what I was saying or doing. And I just think the odds are interesting that it happened, when you realize someone else in your life is not happy and you're like, well, but I'm like, I think defensive is a judgment.
Yeah,
Getting
right.
defensive, justifying,
Yeah.
over explaining. There's a part of our judge too.
Yeah. Especially, it's so unfair when I've worked so hard to get rid of all my judgments. I'm not judging you. Why
Why
are
are
you
you judging
judging
me? Stop
me?
judging me.
Stop judging me, you awful judge. Oh, wait, I'm judging you, judging me.
Should be a song. Judging you, judging me. Yeah, that's a gift. You're welcome. I hope you sing that all week. Judging you, judging me. All right, back to you guys.
Yeah. So, what did you discover about your judge doing the contemplation or the visualization? Which did you do, the contemplation or the visualization? I did both. Yes, I've gone through it now 3 times. So, what did you discover? Um,
It seemed like doing the contemplation, it was hard not to step into the visualization, because when you contemplate it, you had to see it and then step into it. Um, Candidly, actually, this was probably more of the most uncomfortable thing, because I did not want to step into judge mode. I've been so consciously active about keeping things in the acceptance mode and what is the gift, and in that mode, it's almost like it's almost like asking the alcoholic, hey, do you want to go catch a beer at the bar? It's like, no, I've been trying to get away from this for so long. It's like, so it was, and it wasn't in a judgment way. It was just something I didn't want to go do. I really did not want to go into it. So I think when I did step into that contemplation, I didn't want to go to visualization, because that's more embodiment. And I think that runs deeper, whereas the contemplation is more of an observing standpoint of view. I preferred to stay on the observation, arm's length review of that. So I thought that was interesting.
I love that. I so identify with that. The whole thing with the judge listening to it again, and even when the focus exercises come up, remember a time. I'm like, no,
I don't want to.
I don't want to. I
Been
don't want to
there,
remember
done
a
that
time.
though. But it is interesting. And Theresa, I like what you were saying about with the contemplation. What does it feel like? And then also what I'm noticing, I just did some notes and contemplated on that. was when I had the feeling of self-judgment where I felt it, and then what other saboteur it linked to. And I didn't realize that until you just said that, how on self, it goes into my chest and then links me to victim. When it's to others, it's all in my head and it goes to hyper rational, you know, and then when it's of circumstances, it's in my shoulders and it's restless. So it's interesting how I didn't realize how much those two interplayed, and that's a whole nother a whole nother landscape to view. So thank you for that. That was the gift in that comment.
Love it. Love it. And you guys get to play with your judge in a different way this week too. I love that. I mean, this is day one and you're always like, oh, whoa. Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did anyone miss Shirzad doing his
Yeah, the executioner.
executioner?
He took that out.
All right. Don, tell us what your experience was of either the visualization or the contemplation.
Well, I did both as well. I noticed that on the contemplation side of things, though, it was a little bit more, it was a little less, I'm trying to think of the word, exciting, I guess. So I kind of laid back and didn't really get a lot out of the contemplation side. The visualization one, you know, much like Dave said, it's really hard to try to go back to some of those. But I had a fairly recent one, so I didn't have to go back very far. But unfortunately,
The gift. Yay!
But the thing is, you know, it probably came in a perfect time for me because I was able to realize that I need to catch that judge prior to the couple hours I was probably in it, or even longer, you know. But just realizing that, you know, and it like, just like anything else for me, I could hear something 100 different times, and if I'm not ready to hear it, or if I don't hear it in a different way, I don't hear it, right? So this last week, or this last hour session, whatever that was, really hit home for me. So I love the different way that he goes about doing it. It's the same thing, just written differently. And I guess I needed it written that way, or, you know, understood that for me to understand it. So yeah, I love this new app. I do. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Excellent.
And congratulations on having a judge event for you to work on. Way to go. Way to catch it.
Me, I get to
Way to catch it.
Hey.
I don't want judge events.
You're not alone.
And I do miss Shazad doing his little thing, so I don't know if we can get that back somewhere. And Theresa, you did a good job at it. It was awesome.
You idiot.
Thank you, Don.
Thanks.
Justin, share what your takeaways were from the judge visualization or contemplation.
Well, I didn't finish the module because the app said that I had exercised too much for today, and it cut it off. It wouldn't let me listen to about the last 15 to 12, maybe 15 minutes of his little thing. But I did, something really registered when he was talking about imposter syndrome being a saboteur. And I've heard this term before, and I've gone through some stuff, some working with it, but it really hit home today. Maybe because I had been open to the exercises this morning, doing them, but as something that I really wrestle with a lot. And I've kind of denied it before, but today it really hit home. In this last 2 years, I've been achieving a phenomenal amount of things, more than ever. It's been like this concentrated thing in these last 2 years. And through the training, it's really helped me accept and say, yes, and let's just do this through, and with a lot of nervousness and trepidation, but I still push through it. Before, I wouldn't have done that. But it's still there. A lot of this imposter syndrome, and a lot of it has to do, and I've done a lot of work around this, with my adoption, growing up feeling illegitimate, not that I don't belong in the world and all this bullshit. I know that that's the source where all this imposter syndrome comes from me. I've subdued it a lot, but it's still something that's there, and I recognize it, and it pulls on me a lot, especially with my colleagues at work.
So, what happens when you treat it like the judge?
Well, maybe that's what really clicked it in, putting it in the perspective of judge. I don't think I've really done that until this morning, and it made it a lot more powerful. Not that it had a more powerful effect on me, but that I was able to recognize it. The monster got bigger. It was hard to deny it. It was right there.
Right.
And I think that putting it in the judge perspective really helped. So it made me really look at how I deal with that. Whenever I achieve something at work. Had a big thing happen this week. It was great. Got some emails back from people like, "Oh my God, you did such a good job on this and everything," and that felt great. But my shoulders went up, and I felt kind of like, okay, get rid of that. I didn't want to take that in,
Mm.
And I think that's some kind of a saboteur.
Right. So instead of, I didn't want to take it in, my imposter or what didn't want to take it in, right? Make it separate. You are not the judge, so you are not the one suffering from the imposter syndrome. That's neurocircuitry from your amygdala firing.
Right. Okay.
Not who you are. That's just
the phrasing is super important. I do get that.
Right.
Because back when I was acting, we would talk to the director about something that we did on stage where we're working through stuff. I'd say, but I don't think he would do this. And they would always stop saying, no, you don't think you would do it. So framing it in that mind, in an acting thing, it helps you adopt the character more. And so I know the power of that identification, and that it really, I get it. So I gotta, it's that thing in me
to
that's making me do it. This is great. There's so much clarity. It's amazing.
Stop letting that be you. And, so one of the ways that we do that in the program is giving a silly name to the judge.
Oh, right.
So is there a silly name that you can give to this imposter syndrome feeling judge?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll use the same name I used in the last time we went through this that I'd completely forgotten about.
And that is?
So I'll just do that.
And that is? What's the name? Share.
Oh, Howard.
Howard? Okay.
Howard.
Got it.
Judgy asshole Howard.
Howard.
Perfect.
Love it. Okay. So that's just Howard talking. That's Howard scrunching up your shoulders. Knock it off, Howard.
Yeah.
Making you feel like,
how dare you have a cell of being proud of something.
Right?
That's going to make you self-important. That's all ego. Howard.
Thank you for that, Justin. He said all that, and I've listened 3 times, and I missed it. So I love that it spoke to you, because now I can hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the best lesson I learned today with all that I was studying.
Yeah.
That's funny. I wrote that one down.
I had to cram it all in. I had a busy week.
I wrote that one down as well. Like, imposter syndrome is based on everything I've gotten has been luck or circumstances. Nothing I've done did it. It was all outside of me. Boom. Wrote that down too. Thanks for bringing it up.
Thanks for acknowledging it. I'll take that and leave my shoulders down.
Yes. Yay.
Oh, look at that. I celebrate again.
Yes. All right, Denny, share with us your experience with the judge in the visualization or contemplation.
I kept getting distracted. I just could not do the visualization. I just kept trying to do it, and then someone did. It was very interesting to note. But the thing that has been so interesting for me this time is paying attention to when the judge comes up and how that is absolutely my ego, and that isn't me, and it's such a habit. I mean, when I can't do anything else about something, I judge it.
Jenny, if I could share something that I share every time we do a pod in your honor. It was one of the most brilliant things I've ever heard when we did the judge, and I've shared this with all the pods after, without your name. First time you did the pod, you said, whenever I feel powerless, I will judge the circumstances, the computer, the people, myself. Anytime powerlessness shows up, judgment is the next immediate response. And I just think that was so insightful because I
Oh,
cannot tell you how many people that's the case.
yeah.
So I really celebrate that you did that. And you may not even remember that you did that, but I
I
share it every
don't.
time.
And it's a strange way to bring back power.
But it's
And
anger, right? Instead of being afraid and curdled up in a curdled,
yes,
whatever, in a
yes,
ball,
yes,
you get angry. It's
yes,
exactly what it
yes,
is. And I think it's brilliant.
exactly, exactly. So it's time to do something about it.
So when you get powerless, just know that your judge is going to show up.
Well, it's just been fascinating. And this imposter syndrome, I can remember being a beginning therapist and sitting with people and thinking to myself, Jesus, you really need a therapist. And I'm sitting there and I'm supposed to be one. Good luck. So that one has been it's been interesting for me to look at. And that is so prevalent in adult children of alcoholics. And we all just seem to have that. Yeah. So it's been quite a week. And it's been quite a week to notice, as Rick pointed out to me, every time I have a negative thought, I'm in my ego.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I've noticed all week long how many times I move into my ego. Yeah. So it's been a good week. It's waking me up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like
Wake
it,
up.
but don't teach me anything new today, okay?
Thanks, Sammy. Tracy, are you able to share?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Um, I also found the judge very interesting. The biggest takeaway for me was that I think the judge is way more present in my life than I thought. I think I've been spending so much time on my people pleaser and my avoider, and I would catch the judge occasionally. But taking those assessments, I was like, holy crap, I judge myself terribly. Oh my gosh, I'm judging others terribly. So it was way more present with me than I really was aware, I think. The visualization itself, I was driving. So I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, but I wanted to get to the other modules. So I did it anyway. And it actually went fine. I came up with a very clear example of where I could think about as I was driving. And I think it went fine. Uh, but everything you guys were saying at the beginning really resonated with me. Rick, when you were saying judging others, judging you, like I know I do that with my husband. And I think I kept thinking, oh, he's triggering me. He's triggering me. He says these things that trigger me. And I'm like, wow, I'm judging him for his feelings and his thoughts. And, I can't change that. They are his feelings, his thoughts, but I was judging him because he was judging me. And yeah, I'm really going to have to work on that. And then Theresa, when you were saying feeling, I can't remember the word it was, when you're judging yourself, maybe defensive is what you were saying, but the word that came up for me was like defeated. When I'm judging myself, I feel just defeated. And I think I can catch that easier now that it's like brought to my attention. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And I don't remember the name for my judge. I'm going to have to think of a new one.
It's okay.
That'll
You
be
get to
fun.
rename it your judge whenever you want. You can change that name as often as you want.
Okay. And I think I still need to work on the celebration stuff too. Like I thought of different things I could do. I'm just not doing that. So I need to really work on that.
We're going to talk about this, but
Right.
the judge will stop us from celebrating. The judge will say, "No, you're not there yet. No, 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 no. You're not. You don't get to celebrate that." And that's why you go, "Whoop! Spot it. I spotted you. I
Yeah,
spotted
I
you. I
guess that's
spotted you.
why
Hey,
the
Howard.
judge
What's up,
is
Howard?
judge is
Hey,
all over.
let us know what name you come up with."
Okay, will do.
Thank you, Tracy. Alan, are you able to share?
I'm going to go with,
He's at the airport, so he might not
I
be
think he's
able
on the plane now.
Right.
So might be a
Okay.
no. All right. So the next part of the discussion is, what's the judge costing you? I don't want to put words in Rick's mouth, but if we were to use the example of what we're dealing with, like somebody being upset with us or not liking something, it costs us connection. And for me, anytime I judge myself, I don't feel connected. I don't feel grounded. I don't feel good. I don't feel like I want to do a thing. It's like this, it instantly cuts off that ability to connect to someone else, to empathize. Um, and I think it costs me energy because my head will spin about how right I am, especially if someone else is unhappy with me. I will go. Do you get what I'm saying? Like the energetics of you don't have a right to judge me, or you judging me. Like there's a spin to it. And so it costs me connection, energy, and like a grounded centeredness. I feel like off. What about you, Rick? What does the judge cost you?
That my happiness.
Mm,
And, I've caught myself judging circumstance, and there is a need to purge. Like, I got to go someplace and purge it all. And then I can call out the judge, do my PQs, and move on. But I find myself needing, if I don't purge it, it keeps coming back up and keeps coming back up. It's kind of like I got to throw up, so have a safe place to throw it all up, write it out, speak it out, commiserate with somebody for a little bit, have a timer on it. Okay, and now I'm done with it. But do that, isn't it awfuls or it leaks? Like I can do my PQs and get into that positive brain, and then it gets triggered again and it leaks. But if I just have a chance to vent it all, to let that voice have it say someplace in the world, and it costs me my happiness in that moment, but then it's kind of worth it. It's kind of like throwing up. Like
I love
I
that.
feel so much better afterwards, and I'm not going to be nauseous anymore and all that. But if I'm just taking the something to stop me from throwing up, I'm gonna still feel it.
Well, and there's that whole toxic positivity, right? Like you're moving out of a
Right.
feeling just to feel something different, but not actually sorting. And the other thing I want to say is to each of us, finding that place where someone's not going to judge the other person. So you want to vent about how horrible they are and how mean that is and just awful, but they're not going to judge. When we vent about other people and it's not a safe space, they start to judge. They will start to judge that person. Do you guys know what I'm saying? Like if I am if Rick is venting about somebody, I don't want to be like, oh, let's go get them, how horrible they are. That just feeds to it. So
Right.
finding that place where someone can just hold that space for you, just let it out, sweetie. They'll hold
Right.
back your hair
Yeah.
while you throw up.
Right. And not judge me for judging.
No, and not judge the other person.
Like it just lets that energy go, and then I'm fine to move on. So I'll tap through situations like that because that helps the energy move. I'll write it out and I'll find someone to vent to. But it's an important piece of the puzzle for me, so I don't do that false toxic positivity.
Brilliant. All right. So we're going to ask you guys what the judge is
Yeah.
costing you. Rick's
Yeah.
going to pick on you.
Yeah. So
Quick view.
let's see. Justin, why don't you go first? What's the cost of judgment in your life? And turn on your mic.
Yeah, I can't come up with anything what it's costing me other than self-esteem, confidence. I guess that's a pretty big thing.
It's a big thing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
what does
dare
that
not
cost
feel that
you?
way for people watching.
You
What?
know, what don't you do if you don't have self-esteem? What
I
don't
don't
you
accomplish it.
try? Right.
You
Yeah.
don't celebrate it either.
No.
And if someone gives you a compliment as a gift, you don't accept it. You return it to send you're like, nah, it's just a thing I do. It just happened. I'm not that awesome. Someone's trying to give you a compliment and you block it. It's like they were giving you a gift, and instead of like,
Yeah, I used to be really bad about that. I've gotten better with it, but I still do it.
Mhm.
But I catch myself. I try to, say and tell them, that's really sweet of you to say, and I'll take that, you know.
perfect.
But
Well
it's an
done,
effort. It
Justin.
doesn't come naturally.
Well done,
Hmm?
Justin. Well done.
Oh, pshaw.
Yeah. And that costs connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting to think about what are the costs. So thank you, Justin.
Beautiful.
Don, what are the costs for you of judging?
I don't know if I can write fast enough with all this stuff going on, but I've got a little mix of everybody in mind. But so my first thing that I had, and I don't know if Theresa said this or not, but everything, right? For me, because what happens to me when I judge, like I've got one person in particular that struggle with, and I know that she struggles as well with me and with her judge and my judge. I guess I think what happens is we don't even realize it, but we judge each other or trigger each other by not intentionally doing. But anyway, so I shut down, right? So when I shut down, it's like I want to be in myself. Like I don't want anybody. Um, I don't want a connection with anybody. Like I just want to be alone, like and just kind of sulk, I guess, and just be by myself and not do anything, right? And I wait for that to pass sometimes as days, right? So if I can try to catch this a lot sooner, it's going to help me a lot. Or try to look at it from a different perspective, I should say. So happiness, my connection, I'm in myself and I want to be in myself. And I wish I could like get out of that, I guess. Um, so I like the purge thing, right? What Rick said, but I tend to purge to myself, like
Oh,
let it out to myself because I don't want people to judge who I'm
upset about.
upset about, right? So, and then it's like then they're taking on a different their own perspective or not their own perspective, they're taking my perspective on of what this other person is or did. So I don't like purging the people in general because I think that gives the other person just this, especially if you're in a mutual relationship with other people, right? It's very difficult for me to, right? Because
Gonna triangulate. Yep.
it's gonna do that, whether you intend to or not. But being able to purge and do that, I think, is a good way to get rid of it. The thing is I got to be at that point to be able to do that. And I know, like I said, this recent thing, I've been purging to myself and not even realizing it until you said something, Rick. So,
Mhm.
Another thing too that it kind of does is it confuses my growth when I judge myself because am I as far along as I think I should be? Or as I think I am, I guess there's no should be, but so that it does that to me too, right? Then it almost makes me take a step backward and say, because this other person is judging who I am, and they talk about it. So then I go into myself and I look at what is going on here. I don't know. I am just really confused, and I do appreciate this whole conversation because it hits home right now. So thank you, everybody. Yeah.
Well,
And I love the compliment thing can't be accepted too. I mean, it's all of these things. Like when I shut down, I just don't want to talk.
yeah, shut down. I want to ask a couple of questions. What if instead of judging that internal processing, some people externally process, we verbalize, we process out loud, we think out loud. Some people need to go within, and maybe you have both, right? I need to go within for a little while, but by saying it's a what did you call it? A wallow? That feels like it's wrong. Like you don't get enough time to process. And all of our systems need however much time we need to process and integrate something. And
So
go
go
ahead.
ahead. So yeah, I think about that too a little bit, but I think internally, like the anxiety and the anxiousness and the maybe the fast heart rate, the whatever it is, that's damaging too, right? So if you're sitting there internally and just stuffing all this crap down,
Mm.
it's not healthy either. But that's right. So process internally, fine, but is that really the way to do this? You
Only
know,
you know.
and the thing is if you try to catch it sooner or be able to change that, change that judgment into a sage practice, right? And sometimes it's nearly impossible for me. And um that would alleviate all of this other crap, but I'm not there yet.
The
I
other
don't
part is anytime you catch yourself saying, oh my God, maybe I'm doing it wrong. I think I'm screwing up self-development. Maybe I'm not as far along as I am. Congratulations, man. You just nailed your judge right up on in there. You just brought it front and center. Front and center. Like there's a road, like there's a longness. Like, yeah, of course you are as far along as you think you are. And we all have dips. We all get
we
hit.
the problem though with it is like you're taking other people's you take other people's advice or because they're outside looking in right at me and yeah, I'm judging what they say, but they're saying it for a reason. So I don't know if it's their judge or if it's my judge or if it's like it's a combination of all of that. Just this big
Well,
thing
let
that
me get,
needs
let me
to.
ask you this. Are you going to solve anything from that headspace? Is anything awesome going to, is anything positive going to come from, is it them? Is it real? Am I delusional? Is it their judgment? Is anything good going to come from any of that?
No, and I've learned that too. I don't need to find the root of everything. It doesn't matter. I mean, even things that happened in the past,
Right.
it don't really matter. You just got to move on from that point. And yeah, so
What if
yeah.
you're finding a new way to process? What if you're now looking for a new way to work through getting your hand off the hot stove? I have pity parties. I had a pity party earlier this week. I have a perforated eardrum from an ear infection. I was like, "What the actual?" And I gave myself a whole freaking day just to feel sorry for myself.
See, but I I inadvertently love my pity parties. I don't want
Boundaries.
any. Yeah, I don't want any interjection from anybody else,
Yep.
and I don't want anybody else to feel sorry. But I just want to just sit there and
Do it. Get
just be by myself.
swim in it until your hands get all muddy. Swim in it like it's a puddle of mud until you just get all wrinkly and then you're done.
Yeah, but health wise, you know what I mean? Is that really healthy to do it that way? I don't know. I guess that's my question for today.
Is it for you?
It's you.
Don't look to us to tell you whether it's healthy or not. Feel inside. Does this feel healthy? If it doesn't, then find something else. it could be useful to have a purge partner. Someone you
A
call and say,
venter.
hey,
What are you doing
would you be
between
my
11 and
purge
11:30,
partner
Rick?
today?
No, I'm just kidding.
Would you be my purge partner today? Sure. Okay. How does that work again? I'm gonna purge. You don't have to. You just go,
There,
oh.
there.
Have some empathy for me, and that's it. That's all I'm asking for. Don't tell me that yeah, that person's horrible, and don't shame me or judge me for having these feelings. Just go, wow.
Mhm.
And that's all I want, just have purge partners out in the world.
But I really think that catching this sooner will alleviate a lot of this crap. But there's always going to be situations, right, where you're not going to be able to let it go in a second or what, or let your judge go. But for the most part, I can see how this works. It's just difficult times sometimes. That's all.
It's a practice, right? I
Mhm.
was in the emergency room or the urgent care during our last pod. Rick and I were in, and I'm beating myself up for being in urgent care, trying to deal with the pain, and I couldn't be there. And it was what it was. It shows up when it shows up. And part of our honoring those feelings is not stuffing them down. There's actually a lot more health and healing in finding a way to let them out, whatever that looks like. David, it looks like you've got something you wanted to add.
Oh, you're on mute, David.
No, I was just resonating. I was giving you a amen, a hallelujah, bravo, sister. Because
So
yeah,
recognizing it doesn't mean you beat yourself up for it. You can go, yeah, this is totally my judge, and I'm going to feel freaking sorry for myself. I'm going to vent for a little bit. I'm going to. Rick knows when he's in judgment. Rick knows when venting is going to be a good thing.
I've got my purge partners in the world. Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
I'll
Good
pull
luck.
that.
Good luck this week. We're all counting on you.
Denny, go ahead and share with us what's the cost that your judge takes. What is judging costing you?
Well, it costs me my inner sense of well-being. Judge gets me going. If I'm judging someone else, I'm not good inside. I'm not good inside. Regardless of where I'm judging, it's that inner sense. It knocks me off my center. But I'm just beginning to get in touch with that may be too high a price to pay.
Mm.
And I'm aware that some people will get me going and they'll be encouraging me to come on and judge. Come on, let's do this. And then I'll start doing it, and then they'll go, oh boy, are you going too far? And then I get lectured. So it's like I feel sometimes like Lucy with the football. Oh, hey, let's all get together. Okay. Oh no, you're bad. What? So it's like learning not to judge. So I don't play Lucy with the football. So I don't get slammed to the ground when I least expect it. If I'm not judging, that's not going to happen.
Mm.
That's been my conclusions.
Well-being.
Powerful.
Keeps me a lot better internally. And for me, this has been that shift, living life from the inside out as opposed to the outside in. Because when I'm living it from the outside in, I'm judging everybody. If I'm living it from the inside out, I'm in touch with myself. So that's what this has been. More promoting that.
Mm. So
Thank you.
powerful.
Thank you. And Tracy, share what.
I think for me, the cost, the first thing that comes to mind is that I am not living in the moment. It is ruining really cool thing, really cool moments for me where I should be enjoying, whether it's with my kids or my husband, because I live in that judgment for too long. Recently, I took my kids to see Santa, and it was an absolute shit show, absolute shit show. And I was judging people. I felt like they were judging me, and I actually caught myself. I'm like, this is supposed to be fun. We're here to see Santa. The kids are excited. And it was ruining it all. And I did catch myself in it wasn't a whole loss, a total loss, but I was like really mad at myself. And I'm like, geez, it's taking away from living in the moment for me. That is the cost.
Mm. And I don't think that's all what Santa's not all about judgment, right? The anti-Santa.
That's so true.
So this week, I'm sorry, Rick.
Well, we've got one more.
Oh,
David.
There we go. I would say that it's more like, what does the judge cost us when we're unaware of it? At least that's how it shows up for me. When I'm unaware of my judge, that is where it costs me peace and serenity. When I'm unaware of my judge, that's when it costs me experiencing the actual present moment and the connection of the relationship. And when I'm unaware of my judge, that's when it restricts my ability to advance myself in embodying my higher self. But when I'm aware of the judge, I look at this as a celebration itself, that the judge exists, because that is an opportunity for growth. That is a moment for me to embody my higher self. There's a moment for me to be aware of the feels that we're supposed to feel. We're supposed to feel, and these feels are supposed to flow through us. And whereas when I'm unaware of the judge, it comes in and it blocks and it stays there. When I'm aware of the judge, and it's like, oh, that's my judge doing this thing, and those are the feels, and it feels on through us. And that, to me, that adds energy to my compassion, for others. Like when I can only remember the days of when I took my kids to the Santa and all that stuff. And I think back on that, and to be judging of someone is blocking, but to be aware of that feeling of that person and what they're experiencing. Now that feeling goes through, and you can be compassionate for what that person's going through. And so really for me, the judge is how it's been showing up for me is more of an opportunity for growth than really a cost. It's more like I feel like the judge is more like depositing more money into my bank account and proceeding and progressing me towards being more aware of the judge and being more observant of it, and being like, okay, that's cool that I'm now being much more aware of that judge, who's Jim Johnson, by the way. He's got two names. It's Jim Johnson. Jim Johnson, the judge. He's a little suit with a little top hat, little hat. It's like, yeah. What are you doing now, eh?
Jim Johnson's apparently from New York.
Hey, you're walking here.
Walking here.
Yeah, you should be walking here. What's wrong with you? Get walking. Come on.
Stop your whining.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's I don't know. I've had a different relationship with the judge lately. It's actually a very it feels like a good one, actually. So
yeah,
that's my.
I love it. You've converted the judge, right?
I
You've
guess.
found the gift.
I guess. Yeah. Or finding. But like I said, that is when I am aware of the judge. There are times that I still and have in relationships not being aware of the judge until I'm reminded of it, and then that's where the conflict ensues, because then I go into protection, defend, and ego mode, and that's where it does take me a minute to get out of, and sometimes 9 minutes, and sometimes a day and a half. So
right.
But then it always seems to come back into full circle, though. I'm appreciative of that, because I can still come back around, even if it's a day or two later, and go, let's break down how that was, and go to that person and express to them the acknowledgement of it. So, and expressing the acknowledgement to myself. And where am I going to catch that? And some of it's, I think, almost biological, where you get like I said, you get hijacked. You don't want those feelings to go in that direction, but it infernos and goes there. So redirection and breath work is significant. Yeah.
Beautiful.
This week, we're going to work on sage steps. So the first step is catching your judge. It might be 9 minutes. It might be a day and a half. When we're focusing on the feels, like you guys just all brought up, that will help you catch your judge a little sooner. You might start to feel it in your body or your head, however that is. First stage step is like, woo, there it is. You know me, I make up songs, right? Whoop, there it is. Whoop, there she is. And then you get a chance to do something with it. So you go, there's my judge, and then celebrate. This is an important step because what do we typically do? Rick always used to say, feather your judge, don't hit it with a rock. This is like celebrating your judge, which takes its power away. So celebrate that you caught it. Little song, little dance. Now, this week, each of you is going to find a way to celebrate that you caught it. That celebration might be just like a good job, me, or it might be a song, or it might be a happy dance. But I'm going to ask you right now in this moment to come up with something. Because otherwise, when it shows up, you ain't going to do it. Right? So what is it going to be? Is it going to be like, whoop, there it is. Whoop, there she is. Or is it just like, aha, aha. I always think of I think it's Billy Crystal, and he's like, aha, in Princess Bride. Anyway, there's a whole idea around celebration that releases dopamine, whereas judgment does not. Judgment is releasing different chemicals. So when we catch it and we celebrate, your brain is going to produce different chemicals. So pick your celebration. And if you guys don't mind going around really quick, what is that going to look like for you? Is it going to be a dance? Is it just going to be a pat on the back? Is it going to be a yay? What is that? Is it going to be words? What is it going to be? Denny, you're right on in there. What do you got? What do you want to do this week when you catch that judge?
Acknowledge it. That'll be yes, got it.
Yes,
I won't
got
answer,
it.
but I'll just yes, got it. And just add it to my list of awakening consciousness.
Love that.
Yeah.
Who else has
And
got?
Justin?
Yeah, that seems to be an empowering thing. So I'm just going to do this. Just a boom, boom. And maybe I'll say boom, boom.
Boom, boom. I like that. Boom,
Yeah.
boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom.
Tracy,
Because I
you-
don't dance.
I plan to do a little hell yeah, either internally or externally, depending on who's around, and a little shoulder dance. I'm gonna try to remember to do this anyway.
I love it.
and David.
I just keep going back to when my judge shows up, I hear very intense shamanic drums. And then I'm just going to continue that beat into more of an epic, more of a crescendo type of a music thing in my head.
Epic.
Because then it takes it from judge like it's ominous, dun, 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 and then it's like take it into this epic way of
Ethereal.
releasing it. Yeah, release it, ethereal way, exactly. So that's just what goes on in my head.
Like it.
And Don.
Try to dance not as elegantly as Theresa does, but do the whoop. There it is.
Whoop there. Oh, that's another really good song for catching judgment. I got to write these down.
Yeah, I had Suno, an AI, make up a little song for a woman it had named her judge Billy. And I think it might be fun just to end things by playing it.
Yes.
So I've called it up, and I'll see if I can screen
Should be able to
share and hit play.
Woke up this morning, sunny skies. Got this feeling, no disguise. There's a voice deep in my mind. Named it Billy, he's unkind. Billy's always got a word, judging everything absurd. Time to kick him out the door. We don't need him anymore. Hey, hey, Billy's gone. Dancing now we'll carry on. Judgment fades and feel is strong. Singing out a happy song. Circumstance can take a bow. No more fuss and worry now. Billy's whispers fade away, free to live our lives each day. Hey, hey, Billy's gone, it's and now we'll carry on. Judgment fades, we feel strong, singing out a happy song.
It's not whoop,
Enough.
there it is, but I like it.
Yeah. So Billy's gone. You can make your own song to do a happy dance to celebrate. But that song's been popping up in my head. Oh, Billy's gone. So I thought I'd share.
I like
All
it.
right.
And I also want to give out a shout out because in the old program, it was almost like Catching the Judge was it did have that feel to it, like, oh, it's so big and important and it's not good. Do you get what I'm saying? And now it's like, gotcha. What a great shift for all of
Yeah.
us, y'all. Even when the saboteurs show up. Nailed it. Gotcha.
Right. Next week, it's the accomplice saboteurs.
Ways to play with them and each of their questions.
Yes.
You guys have to come next week. Each saboteur, we now have an aspect and a way to help us move out of it quicker and faster.
Yeah. Special sage step for each one.
Did you like that seating? Don't miss next week because
Next week.
and I just want to say thank you guys. This is such a great opportunity. And I'm glad that you joined us online or live. Thank you.
Recorded, whatever. Yes.
Have
See
a
you
great
next week. Or see you in 28 minutes.